Tal Kadosh, Boker Or. Yeah, it's always Boker for us. Yeah, so it says like this. Al tivieni l'dei nisayon. What does that mean? Yaakov Avinu is Mima'et Benisyono Shel Yosef. What does that mean? Mima'et Benisyono Shel Yosef. He comes and he says as follows. He says, he comes and he says like this. He says, Yaakov Avinu asks to swear, that he comes to Yosef and he tells him, swear benikidcha tat chepetz. What does that mean? You have to grab an object and swear that they're not going to bury Mitzrayim. So we ask the question, right? He says, why does he have to make him swear? Anyway, he's got a mitzvah to be mekayim divrei hamet. The deceased tells him something, you listen. Number two, kavodav. Even if it's after mitah, the father comes during his lifetime, he says, listen, don't bury me here. That's a mitzvah. So, especially when Yaakov Avinu doesn't die, that's going to be Aleph. This, by the way, is a shiur of the Ramban, Nachmanadis. Okay? Bet. Yaakov Avinu also is Memayet Benisayon Imahot Lazov Bet Avihen. He comes and his purpose is to minimize that they do not have a big nisayon when they're going to come and leave their father's houses. What happened when Yaakov Avinu wanted to leave? Right? What happened? He comes and he calls his wives to the field. Why to the field? Because there was no ears. You remember? We just learned that on Shabbat. There was no ears in the field. Right? Nowadays, there's ears everywhere. Right? But once upon a time, if you have it around, people are listening over there, over here, over here. You go to the field, nobody's listening. It's an open field. You could see people from miles down, miles away. And therefore, there's no problem. But Yaakov Avinu purposely came and he wanted to minimize that there's no nisayon. Meaning, imagine what they feel. They're young girls. They just got married. And now what? Now they're going to be taken away from their father's house and they're not going to see him for I don't know how many years. They're going to think about Yaakov Avinu comes and he minimizes the nisayon. What does that mean? We see from here that there's a concept, Leolam al yavi adam atzmo lidei nisayon. A person should never put himself to a test. A person should never put himself into a scenario where he's going to be into a tested trials and is he going to fall, not going to fall? Don't put yourself in such a test. You understand? So he says, Dalid, Yosef HaTzadik is memayet b'nisyotav. Also, Yosef does the same thing. Why does he do the same thing? Right? He comes and he says, he does the exact same thing, whether it's going to be with the words of to the wife of Potiphar, whether it's going to be that he left the clothing in the hands of Potiphar. Yosef HaTzadik does the exact same thing. Yeah, he left his everything behind. Right? What? Okay. So now he says, Hamadat Siyagim ve'Chakom Nisyonot. Also, we learn it from Abraham Avinu. And it's an Azarat Torah. Ve'aretz lo timachel etzmitut. What does that mean? That the land will not be sold forever. That's Kedei Lemayet B'Nisayon. And the concept of what is the good thing in Nisyonot and the Tefillah of Al Tivien L'dei Nisayon. So we're going to start. Okay? Number one, page Aleph. Yaakov Avinu comes and he asks his son, grab an item. Yeah, right, he says, Vayishava. Yeah? He comes and he swears. This is the end of the Aliyat Sheni, if I remember correctly, which means Aliyat Lewi. Yeah, the end of Aliyat Lewi, he comes and he says, right, that Yosef HaTzadik, he swears. So it says, Vayikrevu Yemei Yisrael Amut, Vayikal Yemei Yisrael Amut, Simna Yechat Achad Yerechi. Asita chesed, right? You have to do chesed with me. Don't bury me in Mitzrayim. Shachati ma'avotai mitzatim Mitzrayim. You're going to take me out. Vayomar onochi esechi barecha. Vayomer yishave'ali. Tell them, swear to me. Yishave'alo. He swears to him. Vayishtachu Yisrael rosh hamitan. He bows to the head of the bed. Says the Ramban, Nachmanadis. Vayilaket Yosef et kol hakesef. He comes and he takes all the money. Look how great was Yosef in Chokhmah Tunavdat. That he brought all the money to the house of Paro. Right? He didn't come and take anything for himself. Everything was to the house of Paro. All of a sudden, the Ramban comes and he says, okay, he comes and he tells Yosef, swear. He doesn't believe him? Yosef is such a trustworthy person. He's the treasurer of everything of the king. Yeah, Paro comes and he believes in him. And now all of a sudden, now he's not going to believe in him. Well, he has to start swearing. לא היה יעקב חושב בבנו הצדיק האהוב לו, שיאמרה על מצוות אביו ועל הדבר שהבטיחו, ואמר אנוכי שיח יברך. Says the Ramban, chas v'shalom, to think that Yaakov Avinu was going to suspect that his most loved son, his most loved one, is going to betray his words when he says, I am going to do it. When you say something, you do it. That's the way it is. You're going to tell me that Yaakov suspected Yosef? So what happens? He did it for Paro, not for Yosef. He didn't do it. He did it for Paro. Maybe he won't give him permission. And he's going to say, go send your brothers. You don't do it. Or he wanted to do. He made him swear. Because it's not proper to go over in a Shavua. Also because it's a Shavua, so he has to do it even more. That was exactly what happened. How do you know? What does Paro say? What does that mean? Bury your father just like you swore. What does that mean, bury your father just like you swore? The fact that you came, right, and you went and you swore, go bury him. So you see from here that even Paro understood this. So look at the Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron. He comes and he says like this.
Also that maybe since the fact that
Yaakov Avinu, he comes and he says, Nahag bederech shel hamadat siyagim v'yetzirat tnaim matimim lema'et b'nisayon. Comes the Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron and he says an incredible yesod. The Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron says, do you know what's going on here really? I'm going to explain to you what's going on. What's really going on is, so the Rosh Yeshiva Hebron comes and he says an incredible yesod. The entire purpose of Yaakov Avinu was in order to minimize any type of nisyonot, right? Why? Because, not because he had a safek whether be'emet he was going to do it or not, right? But rather we know that when it says that Simna yadecha tachat yerechi, what does that refer to? That refers to the Brit Milah, as is brought down in Yonatan and Oziel. And now we come and we say that when he wanted him to swear, right, he comes and he says, even though it's a mitzvah lekayim divrei minet and everything else, the entire purpose was either to be mechazek it in the eyes of Paro, or also, right, he comes and he says, and also look at Rashi later on where it says, Vayomer Paro aleu kvorat avicha kasher yishbiyecha, he says, V'im lo bishvil hashavua, lo hayiti menichacha. If it wasn't for the shavua, I wouldn't have let you go. Right, but he was afraid of saying the shavua. Right, but if not, he says, what? I also told you about the Lashon HaKodesh. So I just told you. It's here in the middle of the, as it's brought down in the Gemara and Sotal, Amid Baba Mubet. Right? Vehem hem advarim shenibaru, darko shel Yaakov. The derech of Yaakov Avinu was, in Avodat Hashem, was to minimize any type of a nisayon, which means like this. Here, Yosef HaTzadik would have a very big nisayon. You know what the nisayon is? Paro might tell him, you know what? Don't go. If Yosef didn't do a shavua, so technically speaking, he could have said, listen, you know what? I have kibud avayim, but I have kavod malchut. My boss, he's telling me not to go. I don't know. Should I go? Should I not go? He has an nisayon. By him coming and making him swear, what did he do? He minimized the nisayon. Why did he minimize the nisayon? Because now I have a shavua. How much can you get out of it? It's very difficult to get out of it. So he purposely, Yaakov Avinu's derech was, I want to minimize that. I don't want to let you have such a trial. I don't want to let you have such a difficult time in making your decisions. The same thing happened, right, to his wives. It says in Parashat Vaychi, Vayetze Yaakov, Vayomer Hashem el Yaakov, Shuv el eretz avotecha. He comes and he says, go back to your land. Yaakov calls to Rachel and Leah el tzonon. I'm on page 2. On Bet, right? He comes and he tells them, come to the field. So they come and he comes and he tells them, by the way, you should know, I don't see your father like the way that he was yesterday. And by the way, my God was with me. And you know what your father did to me. He switched all the time. And then, so now all of a sudden, right, he comes and he tells them, listen, right? He comes and he tells them, look, right, you should know, the wives, they come, Rachel and Leah, they say, you know what? Go. You're right, 100%. Go. So says the Ramban, Anochi Ha'el Bet El, יספר יעקב לנשיו כל שאמר לו מלאך האלוקים בחלום, כי הכל פיוס להם שתלכנה עמו. Why did Yaakov have to come and start trying to speak so much to his wives? He was a good Moroccan. He comes and he says, Fatima, Frecha, yeah, come, we're going. Where are you going? We're moving to Miami. Yeah, what happens? You have to listen. No, he comes saying, by the way, Malach appeared, and he told me A, and he told me B, and you see C, and you see D, and E. What's going on? Aleph, Kamarnu, we're going. No, he doesn't do that. Says the Ramban, you know why? It's abuse. He's appeasing them. He's trying to tell them in order that it shouldn't be, that they should go with him. Right? It's not one chalom. That was already before. Everything is before. So what's going on then? But rather it was all the same thing. Says again the Rosh Shiva of Hebron. He comes and he says, why does he have to come and start telling them all these stories? Right? We don't see Yaakov Avinu as a storyteller. What's he doing here? So he says, why does he have to give all these hakdamot? But rather, right, we had another answer on this, if you remember. We brought down, if you remember, in psychology, yes, right before you ran away, we gave the answer of, I think it was the Shlah HaKadosh or the Al-Shich. I don't remember now which one it was. It was either the Shlah or the Al-Shich HaKadosh, if you remember. And we brought down that it was the psychology. What was the psychology? Yaakov Avinu wanted that it should be their decision, not his decision. What does that mean? It means even though, right? That means even though anyway he was going to go. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you to go, you're not going to go. You start asking your wife, maybe, yeah. What's he doing? No. He wanted that them, because if they make it from their decision, they go with simcha. If he takes them against their will, it's not the same. Yeah. So therefore what? He was doing it in order. That was, again, I don't remember if it's the Shlar or the Al-Shich. One of the two. They were the ones that said that it's the concept of the psychology behind. But here, what the Rambando is coming and he's saying is he's coming and he's saying that why exactly is Yaakov Avinu going through all these things, telling them? So he says they were Neviot and they knew everything already. So why did he have to come? And what? They didn't know that he cheated him once, twice. They were there. The marriage, everything they saw. Do you think Yaakov has to actually start telling his wives, by the way, your father's a cheater? Your father's I don't know what. What? A con artist. He doesn't have to say that. Huh? A con artist. You know what a con artist is? You're going to have to teach you English as well. Con artist is somebody that he knows how to trick everybody and they get a lot of money and, they're the experts and they come and they're an artist. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so he comes and he says, if they're nevuot, they know what's going on, what's happening. But rather it was called pius. What do I mean pius? Lemayed binisayon, to make it much less for them. And therefore, that's what he's asking. That's what he's saying. Yeah, so he says there's no safek that Yaakov Avinu already knew. But again, he already wanted to do that. Because of the nisayon that would be to the wives, he wanted to make their lives easier. He wanted their lives to be easier. Next, Gimel, page Gimel. לעולם על יביא אדם עצמו לידי ניסיון. says the Gemara in Sanhedrin. ק"ז עמוד א'. אמר רב יהודה אמר רב. says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. לעולם על יביא אדם עצמו לידי ניסיון. You have it inside. Yeah? A person should never come and put himself to a ניסיון. שהרי דוד מלך ישראל הביא עצמו לידי ניסיון. Because David HaMelech put himself into a ניסיון ונכשל. And he fell. Amar lefanav says, he said, Ribono shel olam, mipnei ma omrim Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, and omrim Elokei David. Even he said, why don't they say Elokei David? Amar, he said, Inu minaseli, ve'at lo minasi. He says, what? I tested them. I didn't test you. Amar lefanav, Ribono shel olam, bechoneni minaseni, bechavod. Bring it on. Yeah, test me. Yeah, let's go. Shrema, bechoneni Hashem minaseni. אמר מנס לך רבינה מינתה בעדך תלדידו לא דתיו ואילו ענה כמודן לך דמסיל לך בדבר הבא. He says, one second, there's a big difference. I didn't tell them beforehand that I'm testing them. You already know I'm testing you. But let's see. What happened? Miyad. Vayhi le'et ha'erev, vayakol David ma'mishkavo. David HaMelech יצא. אמר רב יהודה שפך משכבו, כל עליי משכבו של יום. He forgot the halacha. What was the halacha? Ever katan yesh ba'adam. There's a small organ in the human being. Masbi'o ra'ev u'marivo save'ah. I just told you. 107, Sanhedrin. Vayitalech al gad bet hamelech. He comes and all of a sudden he's on the roof. Vayar isha rochetzet me'al hagag. And he sees the woman that she's on her roof. Right, that's where they were taking the showers. And she was doing miklachat. So what happens? Vayisha tova mareh me'od. She was very beautiful. Yeah? So it comes here and it says, there's a whole thing, by the way. There's a whole thing exactly what happened that all of a sudden it says here and that there was the tzipor that did it. Because it says over here, right? The Batsheva v'kachai faresha tutechilta ta satan idam lo ketziporta. Right? What happened was that the Satan came and he made himself look like a bird. All of a sudden he went and he was revealed and he was able to see her. Meaning she wasn't just stam on the roof that anybody that binoculars could come and start looking. You understand? It wasn't like that. The Satan came, made himself like a bird. The bird comes, whoops, reveals everything, and all of a sudden he comes and he sees, right? And that's when the Satan.
What do you mean the bird comes?
Yeah. There was a bird that came that revealed. The bird was really the Satan. But the bird came and revealed Batsheva to David, which means she was covered. Yeah, the curtain. So Kilo opened the curtain. It says over here, Tzipor. Talideh Tzipor nitrad. Kidamar idam leket Tzipor. Right? That it was because of the Tzipor. It was because of this bird, right? That happened. Okay, so fine. So what happens now? So therefore, it comes and says, this is Rabbi Abraham Yafhan b'musar v'dat. He comes and he says like this. He says, what does it mean? Vayavo Yaakov Shalem. מה שבא יעקב שלם בגופו ובממונו היה בידי שמיים, אבל מה שבא שלם בתורתו היה על ידי השתדלות שלו. Are you guys listening? One more time. That which Yaakov Avinu came shalem begufo v'mamono, that came from Hashem. That nothing happened to his money and nothing happened to his body, that came from Hashem. Yeah. However, though, that which it came shalem betorato, he comes and he says no. He says that was only from Hakadosh Baruch Hu. That was from him. Yeah. Okay. So he comes and he says like this. Yaakov Avinu, he put all his koach that he should come in shalem betorato. Al yedei ze sheitmin et atzmo. How? He went into the Bet HaMidrash. And that's what he did. The nisyonot shebahem bochen HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'adam and betor nes litnoses כדי להרים קרנו של הצדיק להוציא כוחותיו התמונים אל הפועל, which means like this. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he puts somebody into a test, what is he doing? He's actually coming and putting somebody into a test in order for him to take his kochot, his strength, and to bring them into fruition, to actually maximize his strength. So that's what he's doing. And that's why he's coming, he's doing that he has to actually come and do למעלה מיכולתו. So he says, right? אם בארזים נפלה שלהבת, אז בוודאי עלינו לקחת מצב להתרחב בכל ניסיון. So he comes and he said this. So therefore, how much should we run away from nisyonot? Why? Because if right now David HaMelech came and he wanted the nisayon and he fell, so imagine what are we going to say then? Obviously we have to run away, right? Because that in itself is that we should never open up our mouths to the Satan. And that's what it says in the Midrash. The Midrash says that during the time when Noach went to plant the vineyard, one of the Chitzonim came and he said, he wants to go to do it together with him. He says, but be careful, I don't want it to go on the other side. What happened? The Satan came, right? And he planted it together. Which means he didn't do any Avirah, but petach patach l'nisayon hashichrut. He opened up the door. Once you open up the door, that's it. Right? One second. What does that mean? That means you see from here that when a person is coming, a person should be very, very careful. We always say, yain. Yeah, what do we say? A person should distance himself from wine. Why do you distance yourself from wine? Because yain magilin ledvar avera. What does it mean? Wine, it makes a person come and start doing averot. Why? They start getting a little bit high. And once they're all excited and intoxicated, they start doing shtuyot nonsense. And then that's it. Well, you think it didn't happen? You know how many times it's happened. The rabbis, they get phone calls. Rabbi, I don't know what I did. He got drunk last night and he wakes up the next morning and is married. I'm not going to mention names. Yeah? Yeah? And now what happens? Now what do you do?
From this community? I think it's from this table.
When we say Shirei B'Nisayon. When we say
You
Shirei
know, at the
B'Nisayon.
school at one time they stopped having alcohol.
Page 5. Yaakov, Yosef, they purposely did this. That means we already went and we said, why is it that Yosef comes and he starts saying all the good that Potiphar did to him? The same thing. Meaning, if you remember, we also said the same thing. The wife of Potiphar comes and she starts convincing him, listen, you want to, she wants to be with him. He comes and he starts saying, by the way, your husband's so nice to me. He gave me everything. The only thing that he doesn't permit me is the bread that he eats, which obviously means his wife. And why does he have to go through all the Vaydaber? Why does he have to do all those things? And again, for the exact same reason. What is the exact same reason? Because on conscience and to minimize the nisayon. So therefore, why? Because he's just going to say no. So again, you say it like that, all of a sudden now you're pushing yourself away. That's exactly what he was doing. Okay? Page 6. We also find it by Avraham Avinu. What is that referring to exactly? He comes and he says, Harimoti yadi el Hashem nishba'ani. He swore. Why did he swear? Unklu says, no, he didn't swear, but he palalti el Hashem. What's going on here? So he says, Vanochom benai harimoti yadi el Hashem. He made it Ekdesh and Cherem. Why? He made it Ekdesh and Cherem so he doesn't have any Nisayon. Meaning Avraham Avinu could have said, listen, technically speaking, I just went, I captured all this property. The booty is mine. This is mine. But he comes and he says, you know what? Right? I don't want it. Lebutin. Yeah, botin. That's how you say it. Lebutan? Butan. Lebutin. Yeah. What does that mean? Right? That's what it is. The entire concept of the shalal. The shalal, technically, he went and he swore. Once he makes it Ekdesh, come on.
So a good thing to do for ourselves is to do that.
Well, obviously you're not supposed to swear, but yes, if a person needs to, yes.
I'm saying that we say Avraham Avinu and
Now, this is in Parashat Chaye Sarah when it says, again, Avraham Avinu comes and makes Eliezer swear. What's going on? The Ramban says, "V'yishbi'a eved la'asokim b'chayav, v'yodea shlo yavor ratzon aviv al hashavua. Gam yitachen she'ha'eved apotropos nechatzav." So he comes and he says the same thing. He didn't want that there should be any type of nisayon for Eliezer eved Abraham. So he comes and he made him swear for the same thing. And that's why he says here, "V'yikach ha'eved asara gimalim migimalei adonav, shelo yir'u besadot acherim." He comes and he made them swear, you're not going to come, you're not going to eat in other people's fields. What does it mean? The same thing. He did the same thing. Why? What's he coming exactly? What's he doing? He says, what? Avraham Avinu's animals are going to come and they're going to start feeding. If Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, his animals didn't do that, Avraham Avinu's animals are going to come and start eating another. He says, no. L'ma'et nisayonot. He didn't want that. He wanted to be mima'et, any type of nisayonot. So he comes and he says, right, like this. So you see from here, right, and we'll finish basically here. There's a little bit more that basically the entire concept he speaks about afterwards about, the Shemitah and things like that. But basically what we're just going to just lashlim et ha'iriyah, we're just going to say like this. We already mentioned before that we know that any type of a nisayon is actually to help us. Any type of a nisayon. But mitzat sheni though, we always have to come first to pray that we don't want a nisayon. That's what we do every single morning, right? We come and we pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't bring us to nisayon, because technically speaking, we don't want the nisayon. Now, technically, the fact that we prayed for it, that's already good, because that means we already have the tefillah that we don't want it. So we actually did something for it. But mitzat sheni, even if it is that we do get into a nisayon, we have to come in and we try to minimize it. How do we minimize it? In the facts that we already said beforehand, right? If a person already knows, right, that he knows that if he's going to go to a certain place, he might fall. So don't go. If you're going to go with a friend, go with somebody else, right? Do something. The second that you do these things, you come and you're helping yourself by minimizing the nisayon, right? If you already know that this person always speaks Lashon Hara, he calls you up, you have to tell him, I'm in a meeting, right? I'll talk to you in shul. When you're in shul, you're around people. Now they're not going to talk Lashon Hara. That's it. What do you want? You understand? Any case that it is. The concept is that first of all, you have to pray that we do not want nisyonot. And after already that we're going to have the nisayon, try to minimize the nisayon. By minimizing the nisayon, that's it. We're already done. We don't need any more headaches. We don't need that's it. How did Yosef do it? He minimized it in every single case. Whether it was running away from leaving the thing behind, whether it was coming the wife of Potiphar and explaining to her that I can't do this because of A, B, C, and D, whether it was after every single thing that Yosef did, minimize the nisayon. Yaakov Avinu, the exact same thing. Avraham Avinu, the exact same thing. You see that was the derech of the tzaddikim. We want to minimize nisyonot because nisyonot are very, very big. Why do you think the Gemara says don't pass by a bet avodah zarah and don't go by the house of a zuna? Why? A person should say, no, I want to go and I'm right here. No, because you don't know how you could fall. And if we don't know how much we could fall, so therefore minimize it. Stay away, stay far away, distance ourselves. We don't need all those things. And that's why there was you should know that all these things are very, very important. I still remember also, this was the